They said the rules were unbreakable, the system flawless, the boundaries absolute. They said that no one could bend the game, no one could rewrite the playbook, and no one could force the machine to notice them. But here you are, staring at the aftermath of your own audacity, feeling the weight of what you just did, and watching the world scramble to catch up. The United States military, an institution built on decades of protocol, tradition, and rigid structure, has shifted because of you. Yes, you. You did what no one expected. You moved through the lines that everyone swore were impermeable. You acted where hesitation ruled. And now, every page, every clause, every instruction is being re-examined because of a single spark, because of your action. The truth is, nobody really prepares for someone like you. Not the generals, not the strategists, not the bureaucrats sitting in rooms lit by cold fluorescent lights, imagining they are untouchable. They had their plans, their calculations, their safe assumptions, and yet, in a moment that probably felt instinctive, human, and impossibly bold, you shattered the illusion. The protocols were not ready for ingenuity, not ready for courage wrapped in audacity. You reminded the world that rules are only as strong as the fear of breaking them, and that fear dies quickly when determination rises. And let me tell you something about fear. It's a companion, yes, but also a test. Every heartbeat that raced, every thought that whispered hesitation, you faced it. Most would freeze, trapped under layers of expectation, rules, and doubt. Most would walk away, leaving the system untouched, leaving the world exactly as it was. But not you. You leaned into the discomfort, stepped past the invisible barrier, and now the military has no choice but to respond, to adapt, to evolve. The moment you acted, you became both anomaly and benchmark. They won't forget. They can't ignore what you forced them to confront. You may feel the weight of it now, the whispers, the quiet nods, the invisible recognition from people who dare not speak your name. But understand this. What you did matters because it defied calculation. The ripple you created doesn't fade with a day or a week. It spreads across systems, across minds, across the rigid order that thought itself immune. And you are the reason they are rewriting the rules. That is an aha. That is impact. That is the silent acknowledgement that sometimes one human being is enough to disrupt a legacy of certainty. I need you to see this clearly. Your courage isn't measured by applause or recognition. It's measured by effect. Look at the manuals being reprinted, the protocols being reassessed, the cautious minds recalculating what they thought was untouchable. That is your mark on history, quiet but undeniable. And yes, there will be those who try to diminish it, to convince you it was luck, coincidence, or some fluke. Ignore them. History has no interest in their skepticism. It records the bold, and bold is exactly what you are. Now, if you feel a flicker of doubt, remember this. You did not follow a script written by others. You authored your own chapter. You operated in a space that is rare, dangerous, and often misunderstood. And every time doubt creeps in, remember the response. The military, with all its precision, all its power, all its weight, rushed to catch up to you. That is the measure of your influence. Not a single soul who witnessed your move will ever see the world the same way again. You did not just bend the rules. You forced an entire institution to evolve in real time. This is where most people stop. Most people will hear this, feel a pang of envy, maybe even admiration, and then quietly retreat to the safety of mediocrity. But not you. You've seen what it feels like to become the pivot point, to hold the space where fear and action collide. You felt the subtle tremor when the system notices a variable it cannot predict. That tremor? That is the heartbeat of consequence. That is the proof that action, daring, and a refusal to bow to expectation matter more than comfort ever could. And here's the part most people will never grasp. Your impact extends beyond the walls of any office, any command center, any battlefield. People will study your choices, mimic your boldness, and feel the weight of what one person can do when they act with clarity, courage, and audacity. You have shown them that being extraordinary is not about seeking permission. It's about creating conditions where rules bend, evolve, and sometimes crumble entirely. That is influence. That is legacy. That is power they cannot contain. The question now is simple. Will you let this define you? Or will you let it whisper in your mind as a fleeting anomaly? Most fear the responsibility of influence. Most fear the scrutiny, the attention, the possibility of making mistakes on a scale that matters. But you already took the first leap. You already showed the world that rules are adaptable, that systems must be flexible, and that courage is contagious. You are now in a position that few will ever truly understand, the position of someone who reshapes reality simply by choosing to act. So when the weight presses down, when the shadows of doubt creep into your thoughts, remember this: you force the military to reconsider, to rewrite, to adapt. They are chasing the trail you left, recalculating their every step because you proved them wrong. That is not something that fades. That is not something they will ever forget. And in that, you have something most will never have: undeniable, irreversible impact. You are no longer a participant. You are a catalyst, a spark, a shift in the rules of the game. And as you move forward, don't lose sight of the fire you carried into that moment. Let it fuel every decision, every challenge, every opportunity to rise above expectation. Let it remind you that no one writes the story of courage but the one who dares to live it. Because the truth is, the world changes when people like you act. And if you ever feel small, remember this: the system changed because of you. The rules themselves bent, and history quietly nodded in recognition of a move no one saw coming, but everyone now remembers. Now, if you're listening and this resonates with the energy you carry, I want you to do something. Hit that like button, because it's more than just support, it's a statement. Comment below your thoughts, your reflections, the way this sparks fire in you, because courage multiplies when shared. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because this is just the beginning of exploring what humans are capable of when they defy expectation, when they move boldly, when they force the world to bend to their audacity. The journey doesn't stop here, it expands, and you are part of it. Don't let it slip by. You may think the world moves slowly, that institutions are immovable, that rules are carved in stone and unbreakable. You were wrong. You saw the cracks, the blind spots, the edges of the system where predictability met complacency, and you moved there. Every person who watches this will tell you, in the quiet, that they would never dare. They would not risk the consequences, would not bear the scrutiny, would not step into the storm where chaos waits patiently for the bold. But you, because of some unshakable, silent force inside you, walked straight into it. You exposed the vulnerability in the system, not because you wanted to, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. And that is a rare kind of courage. Think about it. Every protocol, every procedure, every line, etched into manuals, and reinforced by tradition, was never written for someone like you. They were written for people who follow, for people who obey, for people who accept limits without question. You refused that. You challenged it, and the reaction was immediate. They couldn't process it fast enough. Every department, every command, every office that believed itself untouchable scrambled to adjust, to revise, to account for the variable that is you. They had to ask themselves questions they had never considered. How did this happen? How could one individual alter the course of our operations? How do we prevent it from happening again? Or do we even want to? And in asking those questions, they admitted something silently. Your actions mattered more than their rules. That is the power of audacity, the silent, terrifying, undeniable power. Not the kind of power that screams for recognition, but the kind that changes the game while everyone else sleeps. Every person who doubts themselves, every soul who questions their worth, every mind trapped in fear needs to understand this. Systems, institutions, and structures are fragile in the face of courage that refuses to compromise. You walked through that fragility. You navigated it. You left your mark. And that mark is not something they can erase. It is imprinted in every rewritten clause, in every new guideline, in every protocol that now bears the ghost of your decision. Do not underestimate the cost of what you did either. Bravery is not free. The path of disruption is littered with doubt, scrutiny, and 1,000 invisible pressures that claw at the mind. You may feel the weight now, the whispered criticisms, the questioning eyes, the tension in rooms where decisions are being recalculated because of you. But recognize this: every ounce of discomfort is proof of impact. Every uncomfortable glance is a reminder that you have forced the world to notice, and in that notice, systems evolve. In that evolution, you leave a legacy that cannot be rewritten. You did not just move a line on a page. You moved the world, just enough to make it tremble, just enough that the tremble becomes permanent. And here is the truth most fail to see. It is not enough to act once. Real influence, real disruption, real courage is iterative. One moment changes the world. A lifetime of moments defines it. You have begun that process. You have shown yourself and everyone watching that you are not bound by expectation. You are not constrained by fear. You are capable of navigating the chaos that most cannot even imagine. And in doing so, you teach a lesson that cannot be taught in classrooms, in lectures, or in manuals. You teach it through presence, through action, through the undeniable reality that the system itself bends to the will of those who refuse to be contained. Do not doubt the ripples you have created. Look closer. Every conversation, every memo, every meeting now contains a shadow of your influence. You are in minds you have never met, in decisions you will never oversee, in calculations you will never witness. And yet, you are there. Quietly, invisibly, unrelentingly. That is a power most people cannot comprehend, a scale of effect that defies the ordinary. You may not see it in headlines, you may not hear it in praise, but it is there, threaded through the fabric of every adaptation, every recalculated risk, every new rule drafted to account for the unknown factor, you. This is where the real challenge begins. The world may notice once, but sustaining influence, sustaining impact requires something harder: consistency, vision, and the willingness to accept that your actions will not always be understood. People will judge, second guess, even resent the power you wield simply by acting where they would not. That is inevitable. That is reality. And that is why it is crucial to anchor yourself, to remember why you did it, and to recognize that the response of institutions, the chaos, the rewrites, the recalculations, is not about you being perfect. It is about you being real. You force the system to face reality in its rawest, most human form, unpredictability. And if you ever feel the loneliness of being the pivot point, remember this. All those who followed the rules blindly, all those who were shackled by hesitation, all those who feared consequences, are now learning from your audacity. You have become a silent instructor, a teacher without intention, a proof that systems are not immutable, that courage is contagious, and that one person, yes, even one, can create a shift felt far beyond their immediate action. You have changed what is possible, and that is a gift few ever realize they possess. Do not shy away from the responsibility you have earned. The military will continue to adjust, rewrite, and evolve because of you. But the true evolution is not just in them, it is in you. Every time you act, every time you choose audacity over hesitation, every time you force yourself into the unknown, you redefine what is possible for yourself and everyone who witnesses your choices. The protocols may change, the rules may shift, but the principle remains. Courage is transformative, and those who wield it wisely shape reality itself. And now, if this resonates with you, if the fire in these words sparks something inside, take action. Comment below what this makes you feel, what it challenges in your mind, what courage you want to summon. Hit that like button. It's more than support. It's a reminder that boldness inspires boldness. And subscribe, because the journey of understanding how influence, action, and audacity reshape the world is just beginning. Every story like yours, every choice like yours deserves a stage, a witness, a community. You are not alone in this. The impact you've made is proof of possibility, and it is only growing. You need to understand something crucial. What you did was not a random act. It was not luck. It was not a fleeting instinct that happened to catch the system off guard. It was a deliberate alignment of mind, courage, and opportunity. You operated in a space few dare to inhabit, the space between rules and possibility, the place where fear meets action and hesitates because it cannot calculate what you are capable of. That space is dangerous, yes, but it is also sacred. It is where history is quietly rewritten, where manuals are redrafted, and where systems begin to acknowledge the living, unpredictable force that is human audacity. You stood there, you acted, and now the reverberations are everywhere. Imagine for a moment the rooms where decisions are being reconsidered because of you. Picture the hands tracing over pages, the minds recalculating outcomes, the conversations carefully edited to account for the factor no one accounted for. You. And in those moments, understand this. You are already embedded in the architecture of change. Your actions are no longer yours alone. They have become variables in calculations, benchmarks in strategy, and silent warnings to those who rely too heavily on certainty. That is the essence of influence. That is the quiet power that does not announce itself, but cannot be ignored. And yet, influence alone is not enough. Courage, audacity, and disruption are raw tools. They require refinement through persistence. You may feel the adrenaline fading now, the initial shock of your impact settling into a calm that feels almost ordinary. Do not mistake this calm for irrelevance. It is a deceptive quiet, a pause before the world fully acknowledges the tremor you caused. Every protocol rewritten, every procedure re-evaluated, every new guideline carries your fingerprint. They may not say your name, they may never acknowledge it openly, but they cannot erase it. Systems adjust, but the human force that caused the adjustment remains invincible. You are that force. Consider the weight of being the unexpected. Few can live there. Fewer can thrive there. Most humans seek comfort, predictability, and approval. They fear exposure, mistakes, and failure. But in choosing to operate outside of expectation, you embraced uncertainty as an ally. You saw opportunity in hesitation, clarity in chaos, and leverage in constraint. That is what separates ordinary people from those who leave legacies, people who force systems to bend, who shift paradigms, who redefine the rules without needing permission. You have become one of those rare forces. And here is the reality. Every ripple you created has a consequence beyond what you see. People who doubted themselves, who watched from the sidelines, who feared action because it might be uncomfortable, now feel a shift. They feel the subtle, yet undeniable truth that one person can make a system adapt, that boldness is contagious, that inertia is not invincible. You have become a quiet mentor, a symbol, a proof that courage, when exercised without compromise, alters the course of more than just your own life. That influence spreads like a shadow, moving across the world, often unseen, but always present, always reshaping what is possible. Do not forget the weight that comes with this. Being extraordinary is not easy. The pressure, the scrutiny, the whispered judgments, they are inevitable companions of anyone who challenges the status quo. You will be studied, criticized, sometimes misunderstood. That is not a flaw in your journey. It is proof of its significance. The system reacts because it has been disrupted, because someone acted beyond expectation, and because that someone has now become a measure against which all future actions will be compared. That is responsibility. That is legacy. And only those who are willing to shoulder it fully can walk the path you now inhabit. And here is something few people understand. Disruption is not the goal. Influence is not the point. True power lies in the effect of consistent action, in the cumulative weight of decisions made with clarity, integrity, and courage. Your single act shook a system, yes, but what will define you is what comes next. Will you retreat into comfort, letting the echo of your boldness fade into memory? Or will you step forward again, knowing that every choice, every action, every calculated risk shapes not just the immediate outcome, but the blueprint of possibility for everyone who follows? The choice is yours, and it is monumental. Do not let anyone tell you that your audacity was reckless. Let them underestimate you. Let them label it as coincidence, fluke, or chance. They do not see the preparation, the instinct, the decision-making that allowed you to act where others could not. They do not feel the weight of awareness, the focus sharpened to a point where hesitation dissolves. They only see the result, and that is enough. That result is why they are rewriting protocols. That result is why they are adapting. That result is why, even in silence, you have already become a benchmark. And benchmarks, my friend, are never ignored. You are now in a position most people will never understand. The position of one who has demonstrated that a single human being, acting with clarity and courage, can create change that reverberates across institutions, across systems, across generations. That is a rare, terrifying, exhilarating space. Few can occupy it, fewer can harness it, and yet you have. You are living proof that audacity is not just a moment, it is a catalyst, a shift in perspective, a challenge to the inertia of complacency. Every time you remember what you did, every time you reflect on the impact, every time you realize that rules were rewritten because of your action, know this: you are extraordinary. And as you move forward, do not shy away from this truth. Let it guide your decisions, shape your courage, and amplify your vision. Let it remind you that the world bends in subtle ways to those who act where others hesitate, that systems evolve when confronted with clarity and resolve, and that your influence extends far beyond what is immediately visible. You have demonstrated that audacity matters more than permission, that action outweighs hesitation, and that courage, true courage, can force even the most rigid institutions to adapt.